Most families relocating to Virginia Beach pick their school zone off a ranking website. Then they move in and realize the neighborhood feeding that school isn't the life they pictured. Today I'm walking you through 3 of the most requested school zones in the city. I'm not going to talk about test scores or mascots. I'm going to show you the actual neighborhoods, the real price points, and the daily lifestyle behind each one. Because the zone you fall in love with online isn't always the one you'll love living in. Hello everyone, and welcome back. I'm Megan Luker. I've spent 30 years as a Navy wife and 35 years as a real estate agent right here in Virginia Beach and Hampton Roads. That combination lets me show you the truths other agents miss because I know the real life details behind the listings. I specialize in helping veterans, active duty service members, and surviving spouses use their VA loan benefit to buy here. So if you're PCSing to Norfolk, Oceana, or Little Creek, this is exactly the channel you want. Let's get into today's video. Let's start with the Cox High School zone. If I had to describe this zone in one word, it would be established. It sits on the northern side of Virginia Beach along the Chesapeake Bay and First Landing State Park. You'll find tree-lined streets, wide sidewalks, and a relaxed coastal suburban feel. It's the kind of place where neighbors know each other and kids ride their bikes down the street. A lot of people assume Cox is out of reach unless you're buying a multi-million-dollar waterfront estate. But here's what the data actually shows on non-waterfront homes. If you want a detached single-family home with a real yard, the entry point in this zone is the high 400s in neighborhoods like Wolfsnare Plantation and Lake Tran. Move up from there and establish neighborhoods like Great Neck Estates and Cape Story by the Sea all run from the 600s into the high 800,000s. Then you've got the premier pockets like Broad Bay Point Greens, Church Point, the North End, and Bay Colony, where prices climb into the 900s and well past $1 million. But what if you want the Cox zone and a single family price tag doesn't fit your budget? Your townhome and condo options completely change that entry point. In attached communities, 2-bedroom properties can start in the low to mid 200,000s. Step up to a 3-bedroom townhome and you're in the mid to high 300s. The median price for attached homes in the Cox School Zone District sits right around $334,000. That's a practical way for a moving family to get a foothold in a premier area without overstretching their budget. When it comes to commute and lifestyle, Cox is the sweet spot for families who love the water but want to skip the oceanfront tourist traffic. Your everyday errands are all right there at Hilltop, which is the shopping hub for this whole side of town. You've got a Trader Joe's, a Whole Foods, a Fresh Market, a Target, a Walmart, and a PetSmart, all within a few minutes of each other. What I love about Hilltop is that it isn't just big box stores, because it's also packed with locally owned boutiques and restaurants run by small business owners right here in Virginia Beach. For your commute, you've got a quick access to Joint Expeditionary Base Little Creek and Naval Station Norfolk. Though, if you're stationed at Oceana, plan on 20 to 25 minutes driving south. This one is all about convenience, neighborhood variety, and easy base access. The vibe here is high energy and family-centric. You'll see people out at the parks, the neighborhood playgrounds, and the community swing clubs. The housing is exactly why this zone is a favorite for first-time buyers and military families. On the budget-friendly side, neighborhoods like Magic Hollow, Princess Anne Plaza, Red Wing, and Dam Neck Estates have single-family homes starting in the mid to high 300s and low 400s. For a master plan feel right by the school, the Ocean Lake subdivision runs from the low 400s to around 600,000. Step up to a higher end suburban living and South Shore Estates, Prince George Estates, and the custom builds in Lagamar run from the 700s to well over $1 million. To keep your costs or your maintenance low, The attached options here are excellent, with homes in Magic Hollow starting in the mid-240s and the Ocean Lakes attached section running from the mid-200s to the low 300s. And if you want newer construction, Jaden Place offers townhomes from the high 400s to the low 500s. Now here's where Ocean Lakes really shines for Navy families. This zone sits practically in the backyard of Naval Air Station Oceana and Dam Neck, and depending on which neighborhood you choose, you're looking at roughly 15 to 25 minutes to drive to the gate. But what makes this area so livable is that almost everything you need sits inside the same 15-minute radius. You've got a Publix, a Harris Teeter, a Target, a Walmart, and Home Depot, so your groceries and your weekend projects are all covered close to home. There's also a movie theater nearby, a huge range of restaurants, and quick straight shot down General Booth Boulevard to the oceanfront and premier shopping. For a family that wants convenience without the tourist crowds, this one is hard to beat. Our third zone is Kellam High School. This is the modern, growing, and spacious side of Virginia Beach. As you move south into this district, the whole city opens up. You'll find master planned communities, newer construction, and as you reach Pungo, a historic rural farmhouse feel. Everything out here feels clean, fresh, and spread out. Because so much of this area is newer, the single-family options reflect that. For master plan living with great amenities, look at Courthouse Estates, which runs from the low 500s to the low 600s. Right near Asheville Park offers newer homes from the 800s to around $1.5 million. And if luxury is your thing, custom builds in Sherwood Lakes, Lagomar, Heritage Park, and Highgate Greens run from the high 700s to around $1.3 million. For brand new luxury construction, White Oak Manor runs from around $1.1 million to nearly $1.5 million. Want a 55 plus or golf course lifestyle? West Neck runs from the low 500s to the mid 600s. And for the land and acreage, Pungo gives you everything from older fixer-uppers around $250,000 to brand new custom estates over $1.4 million. On the attached side of living, Kellam has specific options that get you into this huge zone. You'll find a 3-bedroom townhome starting in the high 390s. Near the water, Sandbridge has attached options from the mid 300s up to past $900,000 for the oceanside styles. For maintenance-free adult living, the West Neck condos run from the low 300s to the low 400s. Now, a lot of people assume that moving this far south means giving up convenience, but that's just not the case anymore. You're still close to everything mentioned in the Ocean Lakes area. Plus, you have the entire courthouse area and Lansdowne shopping corridor. This means more grocery stores, more big box shopping, and more restaurants, all just a short drive away. This part of town is also home to the amphitheater and the sportsplex, so concerts and your kids' tournaments are practically in your backyard. And Centera Princess Anne Hospital is right here too, which is a real peace of mind factor for a lot of families that forget to check until they need it. Now here's the lifestyle trade-off you'll need to understand. This area is perfect if you want a quiet retreat away from the city center with the West Neck Creek Natural Area, Sandbridge Beach, and Pungo Farms. And if you're stationed at Oceana, you're still only about 20 to 25 minutes from the gate. But it does sit further south, so if you're commuting all the way to Naval Station Norfolk or Portsmouth, you need to budget real extra time for that morning drive. Before you start browsing homes online, I have to warn you about the single biggest mistake I see PCS families make in these 3 zones. They find a home that looks perfect, matches their budget, and sits in the right district, but they completely ignore the jet noise and the flight paths. NAS Oceana is a master jet base, and it actually has 2 noise footprints, one around the main field and the other over the south end of the city. The Ocean Lake zone sits right between those two footprints, so it's the most likely of the three to put you under an active flight path. You also have to be careful about parts of the oceanfront and the north end that have high jet noise, and the south part of Great Neck. The Cox zone up along the Chesapeake Bay is largely in the clear, though a few pockets on its southern edge can still catch that noise. In the Kellam zone, most of the inland neighborhoods are quiet, but the areas near the southern approach and out towards Sandbridge can sit inside the higher noise zone. If you're military, you might call it the sound of freedom. But if you're working from home or you've got a baby trying to nap, a F-18 flying directly over your roof can be a real shock. So you should never buy in these zones off of a pretty listing alone. The noise can change from one street to the next, so you need someone who can pull the official noise zone map and tell you exactly where the home you love actually falls. Let me give you a quick recap before you go. The established north side is Cox, which is coastal and settled, with attached homes getting you in around the mid-300s. The base adjacent option is Ocean Lakes, which is family-centric and keeps you within about 15 to 20 minutes of Oceana and Dam Neck. The roomiest option is Kellam, which is newer and more spread out, but plan for a longer drive north if your base is Norfolk. And the mistake to avoid is simple, so always check the flight paths before you fall in love with the listing. Let me answer the 3 questions I get most on this topic. The first question is, I'm stationed at Oceana, so which zone makes the most sense? My answer is Ocean Lakes, almost every time, because you're looking at a commute in the 15 to 20 minute range, and the neighborhood variety means there's something at nearly every price point. The second question is, can I get into the Cox zone without buying a $1 million waterfront home? Yes, you absolutely can. And the attached communities are your answer because those 2 and 3 bedroom townhomes put you in a premier zone for a fraction of the single family price. The third question is the Kellam commute a Norfolk deal breaker? It's not necessarily a deal breaker, but it is real. So if your duty station is Norfolk or Portsmouth, drive the route during a rush hour before you commit. Next week, we're headed to Norfolk. If you want proximity to Norfolk Naval Base, I'm going to show you the best areas to live near the world's largest naval base and exactly what your money gets there. It's the first video in a new series where I walk you through living near every major base in the Hampton Roads area. So choosing the right home for your family is about so much more than choosing a school ranking or a mascot. It's about finding the right daily rhythm, the right commute, and the neighborhood that actually feels like home. If you want to sit down and talk through which zone fits your situation, look in the description below and book a Zoom call with me. I'll send you a curated list of current homes in the exact school zones we've covered, matched to your budget and your base. I promise you real numbers, real neighborhoods, and absolutely no pressure. And if this video helped you, take a breath and figure out your game plan. Please hit that subscribe button. I post every week breaking down the real life side of living and buying a home in the Virginia Beach and Hampton Roads area. If you want to make your next PCS move truly seamless, click the link in my description and download my free Hampton Roads relocation guide. Welcome home. This is Real Life Virginia Beach.
If I'm going with you, I know we'll get to the other side. Sinking in, I know this feels right. Catching a breath.